Hello there, welcome to the Priori podcast Ep.7. I am the editor, Kestell Duxbury, and I'm at work. So if you hear me busy and moving around, that's why. It's been a busy week. It's really busy. It's actually my last week here at work, and I will have started in around 2 weeks' time with the publishers in London, which will be really exciting. Really excited about that. They were initially really keen to hear my experience with the Priori. Actually, it was probably the Priori that even got me an interview, to be honest. So really chuffed about that, and it means moving to London. It means a lot of new things. It means probably being quite short on money and doing all those interesting things. So life is moving a bit. So work this week has had to really step up a notch because the manager here has been moved on, and I've sort of had to do two people's jobs, which has been exciting. Nerve-wracking. Nervous. Yesterday I finished work. Well, I was going to do sort of 8 till 8 and had to go home about 5. I'd done my hours, but went home about 5 because I was just absolutely exhausted. I went straight to bed. But it's kind of the point of this podcast. We were going to... I had a few different options of who to interview, but because my boss left, it meant my days off went, so our diaries all of a sudden got a bit mixed up and stuff like that, and all went a little bit wrong. So that had to go, and I was wondering who to get on, and I thought, well, there's no one I can really get this short notice. So I haven't got anyone. I haven't got anyone. But I was thinking, because I was contemplating this yesterday at work, and I was listening to music, as I always do, and I thought, well, why don't we have a bit of a music podcast? Because we don't really discuss music in the Priori too often. Which is a bit of a shame. I love music, because I'm sure many other people do, and I have particular genres of music. And I thought I'd tell you a bit about my, I don't want to call it sort of alter ego, but my projects in the past. It's called Netsom Music. And it initially started as a thing at school with a friend of mine who played bass, and I played saxophone. And we thought, we should start a band. And at that point, I'd really got into DJ Yoda. For those who don't know who DJ Yoda is, he does a lot of basically cutting up of old records and putting it together, so you can hear some really cool stuff that you wouldn't normally have heard together, which is probably where my love of mashups comes from. So where you get, I don't know, people singing Oasis to the tune of Back in Black sort of thing, which happens quite a lot, and I do like that. But Netsom started because me and my friend George thought about doing this, and I was sat, basically, as many 16-year-olds are, maybe a little bit too enthusiastic, before we even made anything or played together. The first thing I did was start a Facebook page. I couldn't think of a name. And I was sat at my computer, and I had an Ep.7 printer and a Netgear router. So I thought, Netsom, there you go. And then I found out it's actually Ep.7, which I scuppered that plan just a little bit. But the name stuck. So, and for some reason, music always seemed to fit afterwards. So from early on, it wasn't just Netsom, it was always Netsom Music. Don't really know why. I think I had these grand ambitions of it being more cross-platform than just music. So that's how Netsom actually started, and then I went to uni. I was always into music, loved music. Facebook memories always tells me how much I was into music. The amount of statuses sort of 5, 6, 7 years ago that I used to put out, which is, anyone got any new music? It was just, for some reason, I absolutely just devoured anything new that people were willing to throw at me. I loved listening to, and I loved it. I loved playing, and I had a computer in my room, and I thought that was really exciting. I had these big speakers, and yeah, the whole thing was really, really exciting. So I went to uni with this array of music. I thought, right, this is where I can reinvent myself. University will be this place I reinvent myself. And of course, being in Nottingham, which is well renowned as being sort of a bit of a party capital of the UK, particularly when you're at uni, I thought, this is my time, this is my chance. And I never sort of saw myself as being a man there. I was still a bit of a boy. And I thought, what are they going to think when this boy comes up? And I wanted to get into DJing. I had no idea who to turn to. First bit of uni, I was really shy. I didn't really quite know how to interact with my peers. And yeah, that was difficult. So I kind of just did it by myself, really. And the first bit of DJ software that I downloaded was called Mix. It was not very good. I think anybody who's come across Mix before will tell you it's not very good. But I used it, and at that point I was really into dubstep, as probably most people in 2011 were. Skrillex had just released Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites. The Example album had come out, which had sort of dubby tones, and Delta Heavy had done stuff that was more dubstep than drum and bass, and all the Ed Sheeran stuff was getting remixed into dubstep. So dubstep got really big. And of course I was on board with that. I jumped on board immediately with dubstep. And there were two people who I lived with, Lawrence and Will, and they were the two people I knew who played instruments at uni. And of course all I was really interested in was playing music, starting a band, and Lawrence, or Loz, came with me to buy my first electroacoustic guitar, so I could play gigs and stuff like that. I'm not really much of a singer, to be honest, but it's one of those things. Getting up on stage is exciting, and it does something for some people. It doesn't for others, but for me it really did something. It made me incredibly nervous, even playing in front of 3 people, 2 of whom being my parents. But yeah, made me incredibly nervous, and that was just sort of how it started. These 2 people were Lawrence was into a lot of the acoustic music at the time. Will was into a lot of what I would only call sort of hard dance music and heavy metal stuff that really wasn't me. So yeah, sorry about that. So these people I was with at uni, and I shared a flat with a lad called Max, who was into his music, sort of more cheesy stuff, anything, but he played Pond de Floor by Major Lazer, a song I'd heard before, and I loved it. I had no idea who he was playing, and I remember saying to him, I said, Matt, who is it? And he went, Major Lazer. And I was like, right. And I just got on and I had downloaded absolutely everything Major Lazer had done, and then learned a bit more about Diplo and about Swick, and all of a sudden these people opened me up to this musical revolution of dance music and trap, and how to sorry about that how to incorporate hip hop and just genreless music, which I loved, just absolutely devoured. So that was it, really. That started me on my way, and I downloaded slightly better DJ software and stuff that would work with my laptop, and also work with decks and stuff like that. So all of a sudden I was open to this. And my first year, that was kind of it. I did try a little bit of production stuff that it was very new, silly things like I didn't know what I was really doing. I hadn't really learned a lot. I could play music, but I hadn't learned anything about playing music, if that makes any sense. So I wasn't doing anything in key, my pitches are all out and stuff like that. So, but anyway, living from mashing things up together and all that. So that's how I started, and I started just by putting samples together. That was it, and kind of really a lot of what I still do now. And I would never call myself a producer, because whilst we have occasionally made things from scratch, a lot of it is just cutting samples up and jigging about and stuff like that. So anyway, that was how it all started. And then I really got into DJing. When I said really got into DJing, in my second year at university, I was in a bar at the top of Ilkeston Road in Netsom, and I lived on Ilkeston Road. It's called Cannon Circus, if anyone knows it, and it's called the Late Lounge. And it was the first place. I was in there one night, and this guy was DJing. It was shit, like really, really bad. And I said to him, I said to the bar woman, I said, I can DJ better than this. I said, really? He said, yeah, I reckon I could. And sure, we'll come down next Wednesday. We'll give you a few beers, and if we like, we'll take you on a permanent thing. And that's what started it. And from then on, I resident there on a Wednesday night. That was cool. That just totally opened everything up. So I went from DJing to a flat of 20 or 30 people in my first year on very, very poor software, to DJing to 600 people. That was a big move, big step. Loved it. It totally changed me. Changed the sort of music I was playing, changed how I DJ and all that. So that was cool. I think that's the only way I can describe it. That was cool. I used to drink too much because eventually I had to cut my free drinks, because this was like a cheap bar, if that makes sense. So bottles of beer were £1, and they give me a £10 bar tab. And the next thing I know, I've already spent a tenner. I'm then in my £10 bar tab, and I'm absolutely annihilated. So to the point I can barely even stand up. There's no need to DJ. So they cut that right back, and which is fair enough, because they were paying for a service I wasn't providing. So that only happened once, I think. But anyway, we'll brush up on this. I did that, and then I went to France. Harry, Ben and myself moved to France to go and study, and I can say I met two people who I really took even three people actually, because I didn't know Harry that well until we all sort of lived together and got immersed. And Harry probably picked up FL Studio 11, or maybe it might have been 10 or 9 at that point, about that sort of time, because we had met these Canadian guys called Sean and Paul, and it turned out that Sean was signed and that Paul was doing quite a lot of tours, and these people were very, very good. They had bought production equipment with them, like from Canada, because they're both Canadian, from Canada to France. And I don't know if they were really looking for shows when we were over there, but I know that they were all doing a lot of producing. And the year later, we'd heard from Paulie, and he'd done a remix of Alice in Wonderland's Run. And on SoundCloud it had got over 500,000 plays for what you'd almost call a bedroom producer. And that just catapulted him to sort of stratospheric levels, because all you need is 1 in 10 people to listen to another track, and all of a sudden you've got a bit of a fan base. So it's mad, and his production name is Wildfire, and I'd really recommend going and check it out. It's really, really well made stuff. And Sean was making these weird stuff that I'd only really heard in a producer called Daedalus, another Canadian. But he put me onto some people called Flutes, who I don't know if you'd listened to the first podcast he made, we actually used their bit of music, Seat Down, Windows Up, as a sort of intro. Great bit of music, and I knew it was free, so that's why. and that was the first song I attempted at remixing. And, you know, they were flattered to get it. It was pretty shitty. I made it at night, but, you know, it was listenable, I guess. But, yeah, they were good. And again, it's sort of that weird electro dance stuff and a lot of slowed down hip-hop vocals that get used. So, Sean put me on some interesting people. Sean's music has always been kind of cool, and I remember him DJing on my laptop for a little house party we were doing, and he dropped Click by Jay-Z and Kanye to halftime to like 70 BPM, so he could remix Drake that had then slowed down from 100 to 70. It just sounded weird, like 0 to 100. It was like really slow, but it worked, and it was kind of cool and different. So people like that. I got a bit of inspiration from those two. And then, as me and Harry spent a lot more time together, we did do a lot more remixes. We also did quite a few mixes together. And so yeah, what I was saying was where me and Harry, where I had really gone was into the DJing side of it, and where Harry had really gone to the production side. We kind of merged each other together a little bit, but we had our own sort of path, and Harry, under the stage name One-Dimensional Man, was doing some cool things that I would then introduce mixes with, and my mixes were getting a couple of thousand plays, so that was good, and that's sort of all I wanted. I didn't want a lot more than that, but I did do a little bit of DJing in Netsom again, predominantly house parties, but it's third year, no one's really got time for stuff like that, and I hadn't really continued with it. And in Sheffield, again, I met up with some people who were into that scene, and one person I'd like to get on is Tom, otherwise known as 20Q, or anyone's ever listens to him. It's 2-0. But Tom's really good, really good grime artist, and was in it just before it got fashionable, and I hope that takes off a bit for him. But I'd like to get Tom in, because he's just a really interesting guy. But I've met these people, and again, I didn't really have an awful lot of time to do a great deal in Sheffield, but what I did do is an awful lot of mixes. Whenever I go to a gym, or every week, I do a new mix, because an hour and a half of music quickly passes by, it gets very tedious, so I would do a new mix. I'll stick it on my phone and go to the gym, happy days. The next Sunday or whatever, I'd sit in my room, I'd do another mix, I'd go to the gym that week, listen to that. It was cool. And because I don't like listening to individual tracks, they're too easy to skip. I like mixes, and also mixes gives you a great idea of what the stuff you will mix into will be. So I think that's an interesting point as well. But anyway, that's all kind of I did in Sheffield, and I didn't really get back into it again, because moving back to Bedfordshire, there was not much of a scene, and I really thought about hiring some stuff and just hiring a venue so we could just have a night, like a cool night of, and it again just didn't happen. Didn't really happen. I thought I did write to both University of Hertfordshire and Bedfordshire, and no one would sort of give us a night, which is a shame, because it would have been cool, and I was looking for money at the time, so it was more sort of I was looking for a bit of a money spinner, something I knew I could do. But the other night I was laying there, and I thought I'm gonna try and produce something just completely brand new, and I'm into a lot of different styles. I like my trap and I like my house and stuff like that. I'd say trap is probably the thing I'm into most, and I also like number tone. But I also enjoy house. House is nicer to produce. So what I thought of doing was introducing a couple of songs that I'd done, because I think this is something that the Priori podcast could be used for, so without wanting to steal Andrew Marr's thunder, which is have a song, if anybody wanted to promote anything, have a song at the end of each podcast people could listen to. I've got sort of 3 songs. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with 3. I've thought about 4. There's 3 songs that I would like to play. I think the first song is going to be so the first track I thought about introducing. I've got 2 demos, and because I haven't really been doing an awful lot with it, but 2 demos. One's called Break the Line, and the other's called Party. And these are two demos that I've been set on. Party was one that I actually produced in a night, so that's either going to sound cool or not, or whatever. But Break the Line is sort of an atmospheric house. I went through a stage of producing a lot of atmospheric house. Things that are a bit different, maybe some industrial house and things like that. But the particularly Break the Line is quite calm, quite soothing. It's a lot of melodic tones and things that sound pleasant. And then Party is definitely one which is a lot of trap inspired vibes. With trap and house, it literally is a mashup between trap and house, and I always try and produce tracks that have an element that I can mix into. The whole point is how are these going to mix? So how, when I DJ, are these going to sound together with other songs? So that's basically trying to introduce trap in something so you can speed that up on things or not. But anyway. And the last one's actually probably the biggest track I've ever had. It's called Let's Go Deeper. And it was picked up by Club Electro on YouTube, and it's been used a few times in mixes and stuff like that because it's very deep, it's very thuddy. And it's got a lot of layers, so it builds nicely. And it's short, it's only about 3 minutes, so you can literally play it in its entirety. And because it builds very very nicely and very slowly, you can just layer it. Alright. stole my demo track of Break the Line. This next one is now called Parting. It's one I made a couple of days ago, and noticed it's got house and trap inspiration. I hope you like it.
Fuck the music.
This final track is called Let's Go Deeper. This is one that I made about 18 months ago and it's been my most successful track and been released by Club Electro. It's been played quite a lot, quite proud of it, in most mixes. I hope you like this. I'll speak to you again at the end.
Let's go. Let's go.
So they were my little tracks, the things that have brought me to where I am today, sort of musically. I hope you enjoyed it. It's just a bit different from normal. And of course, if any of you are in a band or produce anything that you'd like me to play, I'll quite happily put it at the end of each podcast as a bit of a time fill. For those who don't know, I actually made and produced the Priori theme as well. So I will leave you on that, and I'll see you again next week. Thank you.